Once upon a time, it was third grade. Whoa! That's right. I am not just a being from the internet that spontaneously formed via StarCraft ideas and body hair. I was once a wee little lad. And when I was in third grade, I was a nerd! Like, nerd! Let me tell you a little bit about how I looked in third grade, okay? I had extra large t-shirts. I don't know why, but I did. Because they hung down so low and looked a little bit like a dress, I tucked my extra large shirt into my sweatpants. But of course there was so much fabric then that it kind of had this like inner tubey tuft around the edges. And those sweatpants I tucked into my bright purple Velcro snow boots. In tuck, all the way down. In fact, my Velcro snow boots I would play with during class. So they would go like... just play with them all day. I had huge, gigantic glasses. Like, needlessly large. It looked like I was gonna do some virtual reality or like welding or something like that. And I would use them to like melt insects. I moosed my hair, not gelled. I moosed it, and it went straight to the left, like straight over, like it was like a hair sheet. And it would flake off and get into my eyes, and they'd be irritated, so they'd be red and watery. And I would walk up to people in third grade and tell them facts because I wanted to impress them. I would say things like, "Did you know that the tree sloth moves an average of 6 feet per minute?" And I'd turn around and walk away because they got educated. And of course, as a young nerd, I was honor bound. I never missed a homework assignment. I never cheated. I always tattled because I was vigilant and I was good. And it's interesting because even though nothing actually matters from third grade, I don't even remember what I learned. I know none of it. Identity is pretty big in third grade, isn't it? And it's always kind of silly. I think that the yearbook really encapsulates everything that's wrong with how people think about third grade as a third grader. There's always that little questionnaire thing that identifies people in the class with existing famous figures. So it's like, who's gonna be the next Brad Pitt? And it's like, well, Jimmy, totally. He's good at tetherball. Who's gonna be the next president? Well, hopefully no one I went to third grade with. Oh my God. The country would actually, like, break off and sink. But me, what was my identity? Sean Plott labeled as the next Bill Gates. That's right. Ah, yes, because I liked math, and I built castles, and was weird, and liked computers, as was Bill Gates. So I had a reputation to live up to as an honor-bound, always homework doing, big number squaring, like 2-digit numbers, problem-solving guy. I was honor-bound, right? I had to do it. So when you're in a third grade classroom, or really any other classroom for that matter, the way that they teach problem-solving is largely through math. This dry, like flaccid, uninteresting, boring kind of like, and now we will square both sides, and then tomorrow we will make sure the denominators are in common. Screw that. It's so not compelling. Except there were those really sweet scholastic little packets that they'd hand out that had fun problems. And I had a whole bunch of little brain teasers. And we were paired off in groups, and I was paired with Patrick, who had flaming red hair and was the fastest player in our class. Me and Patrick against the scholastic thing, but Patrick knew I was the future Bill Gates. I was the problem solver. I was the crutch in this equation. So we started to go all the way through this packet, but we got stuck on one particular problem that went like this. Henry's mother, Mabel, had 4 kids, that's all. The first one's name was Winter. The second one's name was Fall. The third one's name was Summer, and that just leaves one more. Can you give the name of the 4th baby that she bore? And I remember looking at this, and I was like, well, we have winter, fall, and summer. It's got to be spring. I wrote spring, went to the teacher. It was the last problem we had. I said, spring. And she said, no. And I was like, what? She's like, it's not spring. Go read it again and think about it. So I went back and started looking at it, and Patrick was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's spring. I was like, the teacher just said it was no, Patrick. We kept rereading, and suddenly it dawned on me, the first line of the poem. Henry's mother Mabel had 4 kids, that's all. Henry's mother Mabel. Henry was the name of the 4th child. Got him! I actually am going to be Bill Gates. I bought into the lie. I bought into the identity forged in the 2nd grade yearbook, carried through now till 3rd grade. Henry was the answer. Went to the teacher and I said, is it Henry? And she went, that's right. Now, work quietly on something else while all the other kids try to figure it out. So I sit down and Patrick is super excited because he was like, I'm the first one. And I let him do it. I was honor bound. I wasn't going to try to hurt his feelings at this point in time. Bill Gates is wise and good, and I, 3rd grade Sean, truly am trying to follow in his footsteps. So I let him get that excitement, and then all of a sudden, Amanda comes up to me. Amanda got stuck, and Amanda comes up to me and says, Sean, we can't figure out the poem. We think it's spring. Sean, what it... tell me. You know it. Tell me. God. I was like, well, I can't tell you, Amanda. That would be cheating. She's like, well, give me a hint. And I'm like, how do you give a hint in this circumstance? And then an idea popped into my head. And I said, Amanda, read the first line of the poem. And she looks at her paper and she looks at me and is like, okay, I read it. The answer is it should be spring, but it's not. And I'm like, read it out loud. And she goes, Henry's mother, Mabel, had 4 kids, that's all. Patrick starts giggling like... And I start to get all these like floods of testosterone, like the hair's like sprouting out of my chest because I'm realizing it's time for a power trip. And I'm like, read it again slowly. She's like, Henry's mother Mabel had 4 kids, that's all. And I'm like, read the first half of it. She's like, Henry's mother Mabel. And Patrick is like losing his mind. Making stupid faces. And I'm just like, oh my God, this feels so good. So there I was. And I was like, Amanda, what is the first word? And she goes, Henry! And I'm like, and she goes, it's Henry! Patrick is going to be thrown into an insane asylum because he's laughing so hard. Like they're going to like diagnose him with ADD and shove Ritalin in his eyes or something crazy because the American education system is psycho. And I'm like, Amanda, what's the first word? Henry! Amanda, what's the first word? She's like, it's Henry! Why do you keep saying that to me? I'm like, Amanda, just think about what the first word is. And she goes... and just screams at the top of her lungs. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? And everyone in class was like, whoa! And Patrick stopped laughing. And she just... and like her little arms were shivering because she was so mad. And the teacher runs over and she's like, what is going on? And she's just sobbing and upset. And I didn't know what to do. I was confused. I was worried that I'd hurt her. I was worried that I'd violated the principles that I had grown up upon. So I did the only thing I could think of as an honor bound. She was trying to cheat and get the answer out of me.